Welcome. I just have a little bit of extra content to share with you for my mini course called Books, the Life and Love of. So if you're finding this in a different forum, like just in a casual search on YouTube, the link to the class is in the comments. So I am not sure if you have had a chance to make paper yet, as the course lesson was recommending. Here are some examples of handmade paper. Remember that you can use natural items to dye your paper, and then you can also use extra pieces of paper and even flower petals to add to make your handmade paper. So let me just show you this stack here. This is from red onions, and you can see that it's kind of pink. It has a little kind of the tone of the color of the paper. And if you notice, when the light hits the paper, you can see all of the elements to it. Here are some examples that are even thinner that have pieces of paper in the slurry. And the edge around the paper means that it's deckled. So this has not been trimmed. It's just made from the frame. Okay, so there you can see how in some of the videos that I shared in the class that sometimes paper can be super duper thin. And here's an example of reusing denim. So if you have any fabric that you are ready to get rid of, you just need to let it soak for a super long time so that it kind of falls apart and begins to create this slurry for making the paper. Then you have to grind it up. Anyway, so the next thing I wanted to show you is the Japanese bookbinding. Notice that in some of the video examples that I've provided that are already out there on YouTube, that they have 4. So I wanted to show you the 5. And I think that the 5 is actually just really nice. So remember that you're going to come in on each side 1/4 inch. You're going to go halfway through the width, the height of the book, and then half of that measurement. And what I love about this is that the paper can be any format, and your cover can be any weight of paper. And this is an example of haiku books that I had students create. So experimenting with typography, hand done, adding collage or watercolor in this example. Okay, and each page is cut to be the same size, and you want to make sure that you have a kind of like a little template to make sure that all these really thick pages are hole punched first, and then you stack them together. So let's look at another size, which is the other reason why I love this format, is that you can create any size you would like in the book. You can make journals out of these. So these pages could be blank, but these are some more examples of poetry books, and they were designed to be only one side. But if you had an option, you could do front and back, and these are individual pages. So if you look at the way that it's bound, you can see that it's all just stacked up. So again, I wanted to show you the 5 holes. Okay, and then on the back, it's pretty good. And the little knot gets tied in there. Okay, so another example of some student work is creating this format. These are color copies, and the outside cover is made just a little bit bigger so that you can wrap it around. So this involves glue. Okay, so you can hand make the paper and do this, or print out paper. So each of these pages were collages that were photographed, scanned in, and printed out again. And the lesson here is just thinking about cropping and arrangement. And if I can show you how this is assembled. So each of these pages here would be glued together, okay? And because it was a class assignment, it doesn't have to be perfect, but this is only, this is a one-of-a-kind book. So each page is glued together, stacked up, and then the cover is glued on the outside so that it looks like a book. Let's look at one more, because these can be made different sizes. Now, the size here is nice because it's just a standard sheet of paper. And if you're printing on a colored laser, then you can trim out your edges. So you can see that this is a collage that was chopped into pieces and then arranged into a book. Okay, a really great project that you can take something that you've done by hand, photograph it, chop it up. It's a cropping exercise, and then print it out and assemble it. Okay, so this one again has the cover. So it's kind of hard to tell, but without taking it apart, but you can kind of see right there that the outside is glued. Okay, message me if you want better instructions. All right, I'm going to show you two more examples of student work. This is an exhibition catalog. The content and theme was the students' decision. They had to do some research on design history. This format is also bound with the cover on the outside. These are color laser prints, and you can see that the pages are stacked, folded and stacked together and glued similarly to these books. Okay, so the content is like an exhibition catalog using historical images of designers. In this case, the student was interested in typography on bodies. Okay. And lastly, this is a really fun project that I do with students as well. This is a group project, and everyone had to do a component of this. So the group project was, let's decide as a group the format. In this case, it's square, and all of the design elements of the book, the typography, the colors, and then each student was responsible for a certain number of pages. So they had to make the document look consistent. Now, this is ornaments that are glued on top. One of them has already fallen off, and a hand-lettered cover. Not every student who was in this group designed their cover the same. Again, the function of it was also hand done, and you can kind of see how the pages are folded, glued together as they are stacked, and then the cover is wrapped around. It's a really great way to present material. So in this book, these are printed on an Epson inkjet, and the paper that they used is a gloss. So table of contents, and as they went through their research, some of the lettering, the typography that they included and all agreed upon, you can see is being used in different ways. Okay. So I think this is a really beautiful example of typography and imagery, and students who are learning to work as a team and develop visual elements like the frame, which is why there's these little ornaments on the cover, and how they have to compromise as well as design their work to fall into a document that belongs with the other compositions. Okay, and lastly, I'd love to show you this really fun book that uses those concepts of a giant piece that's folded down into signatures, which is how many different pages there are. So you can see this is a mass-produced book, the binding here, right? This is called a perfect bind, and this book is just really beautiful inside. Okay, sometimes the pages are kind of turned around, what have you. So when I purchased and discovered this book, I actually bought it in a set. So I got the printed book bound and then all of the sections. Okay, so this shows you how the material would have been produced before it's bound together. So what's really beautiful about this is how you can unfold it and see the printer sheet. Okay, it's a little hard because I'm super close, but there's a poster on this side. Okay, all right, so you can see that these are all designed in a giant poster size, and then when they're folded into the book, the lettering can be upside down and becomes ornamental like this. It is a fantastic specimen where cropping and experimentation can occur in the books. So if you notice, some of it's planned, and then some of it is, you know, kind of the poster component that is the way that it's folded. Okay, I would highly look into seeing if there's any more copies of this book. This is from Featherproof Books. Okay. So, more about the graphic design industry and publishing. Check out some of my other videos and even classes that'll be produced. My introduction to typography and design is called Wonder Wander. Hope to see you there. Thank you.